Hello, everybody. So thank you for joining me this evening. As you probably can see, my setup is a bit different tonight. I was in the process of trying to get one of my art pieces sewn together for this auction that it didn't, my sewing machine was just like not working and cooperating with me. And so one of the joys, I guess, of having ADHD is sometimes you can hyperfixate on something, and I was just really trying to get this sewing machine to work, and I kind of lost track of time. So right now I'm getting my area set up, so you can see this is the real life behind the scenes, if you will. So yeah, you can see as far as my learning goes, right? Me and sewing machines do not get along at all. I don't know if anyone else has the same love-hate relationship with their sewing machines. I know my friend Sharon is into sewing and quilting and all of that. I was trying to work on getting the edges of hand-woven fabric to like not fray. And so another friend of mine was helping me with like the different stitches and things like that in order to get the edges to not fray. And for some reason I was trying to use a see-through or like a clear thread. So I don't know if it's just not meant for a sewing machine or whatever the case may be. But the thing was just frustrating the absolute crap out of me tonight. So I'm just gonna set it aside and call it done for tonight and get my needle felting out, and I can take it out on there. So thank you so much for those of you that are joining me tonight. I don't even honestly know what day we are in with the 100-day challenge. I think we're like on day 34. Maybe? I think that's where we're at. I almost like want to give up on working on fiber projects and actually just work on my painting, because I feel like for some reason I'm just not getting I don't know what the word is, not like satisfaction, but like I'm not making the progress on it that I want. Like I feel like each piece is taking me way longer than I had initially hoped or wanted it to take. So I'm just not like in that headspace, I guess, of working on these projects. And that's, kind of one of the challenges with doing the 100-day project is sometimes you may get to a place where you want to take a break from something and not focus on it, not work on it. And, that's why I thought maybe if I pick 3 projects to work on, that would be a good, not a blend, but like it would be like a good, number to kind of bounce across between those 3 projects. But in the past, when I've done this, I've always started with a new project. And I think why this is so challenging for me now is simply because I'm at the part where I have 3 projects that even though I really want to finish them, they all have like some quality or some aspect about them that I'm really struggling with. And to have to go back and forth between like projects like that is, I don't know, it's kind of challenging. So this is a lot harder, believe it or not, than I thought that it was going to be. And just trying to find the motivation or even feeling like I'm capable of doing it. I think having several different projects to work on that are not necessarily like easy, but like ones that you decide, okay, you know what, this is going to be something that I'm going to have it be like a mindless project, and this is going to be my complicated project, and this is going to be my maybe medium focus project. So right now, all of the projects that I chose for this 100-day project are all ones, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're complicated as much as they require my full focus and attention. Like this is very difficult to do like while watching a movie, like I'm really trying to like think about where am I placing my colors. There's a lot of details in it that I want to get right. And so I think that's making it really tricky for me, is to not have a simple project that my mind can kind of just like ease off into, and I think that's important to kind of know yourself as a creator, know yourself as an artist, and see what kind of patterns do you have in your creation. So for those of you that are joining me tonight, thank you so much. For those of you that are going to be watching the live later on, thank you for coming and joining me and giving me your time. So yeah, so tonight I'm working on my needle felted landscape, and the last time that I came on last Friday, I was working on the boat. So I'm going to just try to finish this boat up here, and then I'm going to go onto the bridge. And so what I'm doing is needle felting. So I'm not actually, I want to say like a needle felter. This is not really my thing. So hang on, let me make it a little bit bigger. So you just zoom in so you can see what I'm working on. There you go. That might be a little bit better here, and I'm going to move this camera just a little bit so that, okay, this way you guys can really see what it is that I'm working on. So I'm trying to get this this boat area here. Let me see if I can, 1 second. Thank you. I want to make sure that you can see like the area that I'm trying to work on, but that also I can see it too, that it makes both of us, right, that can see it. That's the important part. So yeah, so the thing about this project is that I'm not really a needle felter necessarily, right? So like I've done a couple of these projects, but it's not something that I do very frequently. This is, like I said, like my fourth one. But I really just love the way that this looks, and I really want to get this picture done. So I think I'm going to allow myself a little bit of creative freedom, in the sense that I'm not going to try to make it not necessarily perfect, but I'm gonna try to just allow the project to unfold however it naturally does, and I'm gonna keep with that. Hang on 1 second, let me just make my phone quiet. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. So yeah, so if you have any questions about what it is that I'm doing, or about the picture or anything like that, just let me know. I'm happy to answer questions if you'd like, but basically I am just trying to make some progress on my 100-day project. And so I'm going to go grab some scissors, because I like to trim out the fiber when it gets too thick. There we go. Okay. Just wanted to not necessarily make it like super dark, but this is like more in the shadow, and so I just wanted to layer just a little bit of blue over it, because it was a little bit too vibrant. And so this is quite therapeutic, if you will, after working on my sewing machine. Was giving me drama. So I don't know how many of you are sewers or you use a sewing machine, but if you have any tips for me on how to use clear translucent thread and not have it like get all gunked up on itself. Here, let me see if I can show you. I was getting these. Now, of course, because it's clear, I may not be okay. So I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera or not. Hang on, let me see if I can get it right. So it was kind of like getting into these like tangled knots. I don't know. It was just really, really frustrating. So if any of you out there are sewing machine people, let me know. I totally welcome any advice or tips that you may have for me on how to use a sewing machine. It's definitely not my strong suit. That is for sure. I feel like things where I just have to use my hands, you know, like, yes, I'm using tools, but the more that I just use my hands, the better I'm at doing those things. But once I have to start using like tools and equipment and stuff, then it kind of goes south real quick. Especially like if it involves like a screwdriver, I'll strip screws. Like it's not a good approach. So again, for those of you that are joining me tonight, I hope you're having a lovely evening as we go into the weekend. If you have any fun plans, I'd love to hear about them. I know tomorrow I'm going to be going live on my Facebook page at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Wool and Fiber Arts Teacher Fair. So it's the very first time that they're going to be putting something together like this, where they have different fiber teachers. So there's going to be like weaving teachers, dyeing teachers, all different types of teachers. and we're going to get on our own Facebook page, but then they're going to be broadcasting our live streams into the Wool and Fiber Arts channel. So we're going to go, I think we're going to have like 30-minute blocks each teacher, and we're going to talk about the workshops that we're teaching and basically let people know, how they can learn with us and get in contact with us. So hello, Ellen. Thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate your company, your continued company. Everyone that comes, I do appreciate it, but having the return moral support is definitely an encouraging factor in trying to get me to motivate me to finish this. So thank you for being my long distance cheerleaders. And so tomorrow I'm going to be talking about 2 spinning workshops that I have coming up. So I'm going to run a live one spinning for gradient yarn, and then I'm also going to be talking about how to spin for drape. So like if you're making something, hi Ellen. So if you're making something, let me see if I can get my camera to not jiggle. Hang on. There we go. Hopefully it won't jiggle. I think it's like, wait, hang on. My cord is touching the table, so every time I poke it. Okay, let's see if is it gonna jiggle now? Let's see if it'll jiggle. So we're gonna be going on tomorrow to talk about like workshops and classes, and so I'm going to be talking about those 2. So I'm gonna also be giving a coupon code. I gave the people on my newsletter a coupon code. They got 15% off, but tomorrow I'm going to give people in the Wool and Fiber Arts group, I'm going to give them a 10% off coupon to use towards those 2 spinning workshops. So I'm really excited for the early bird specials. For those of you that sign up early, you can come and grab a discount code. And then also I have my signups open for my the color alchemy masterclass. So I'm super excited about that. That's going to be the one on my color matching system and how I basically match colors with dyes. And I'm going to also be running a beta test for spinners and felters and for people that are interested in matching colors but not using dye. And so I'm going to kind of see like how those people enjoy taking the class as well. So even though my book that I wrote was really geared towards dyers and mixing dye, the formulas themselves and the process that I've come up with is really applicable to any type of color mixing. It could even be with paint. Oh, thank you, Ellen. I really didn't work on it very much, to be quite honest. I'm just zooming in a little bit more so that you can kind of see how it's coming. But there's the boat part, and I think I'm just going to keep lightening it up just ever so slightly until I get it to the right shade of gray. I don't know why the light is so harsh. Let me see if I can turn this one so it's not so harsh. I don't know if it's going to get too dark then. This lighting, because I'm looking at it on my computer as well as my phone. Let me see here. Oh, this set is all discombobulated tonight. Hang on. I want to make it a good experience for you so you can see what it is the heck that I'm doing. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Let me just get this. This is what you call the real life experience. Ooh, not the staged one. Okay, I think there we go. I got my light. I don't want it to like come crashing down on me while I'm needle felting. That wouldn't be good. All right. Okay, light. Cooperate with me. Okay, I think I got it. Oh. All right. We're just gonna set you. I'm just gonna set you there like that. Okay. These lights. There we go. Okay. So I think that's a little bit better. It's less greeny. I'm trying to make it less grainy. Okay. So yeah, so when I'm working on this, I'm just trying to get it to build up the colors slowly. So I really like the way that shading is going on in that part of the picture, but for some reason I can't really get the sheen to be how I want it to be in the glass part. So kind of struggling with that, trying to like let go of it being perfect. It's not about being perfect, and I totally get that part, but it's like in my mind I know that I can make it better, so I want to just keep working at it, but I also want it to be done. So that's like the conflict that I'm experiencing. So for those of you that are joining me tonight, like Ellen, are you working on anything tonight? Do you have any projects that you're doing? I don't know. Are you doing the 100-day challenge? I can't remember if we spoke about it. Is anyone else that's here tonight doing the 100-day challenge? I'm curious. If you are, what kinds of things are you doing for your challenge? So in the years past, I've done different types of projects. I've done a spinning project to make a cardigan, and then I also did one with fingerless gloves. And I really like how those ones came out. But again, I think it was a very different project in the sense that I started from the beginning of the project and I saw it through, and that was very rewarding to start with something new. And I was saying earlier that I think what I'm finding so challenging about this one is that I'm starting maybe like at the 70% or 60% finish line, completed, right? And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to get this to go across the finish line? And that, for some reason, is just really challenging right now. How do you find the motivation when there are other things that you want to do, but you really want that finished product? Do you give in and start those new projects, or do you find the will and muster the morale to basically just keep going, even though you really want to quit or take a break? Okay, well, that's fine. So yeah, so Ellen said that she's working on spinning and crocheting a tunic with crochet. I don't think I've ever made clothing that was like with crocheted fabric. I know like I've done like the granny squares and stuff like that. Oh wait, and I maybe made a shawl, but not like actual, like, I want to say like clothing, but nothing that I've actually like worn, like a sweater or something like that. So I know it might be a little bit difficult to see as my hands are covering up the space that I'm working in, but I'm just trying to get the shadows in for the boat and the glass that's in front of it. So I think next time I might try to work on the painting that I wanted to finish. That was the Lego family portrait, because I haven't really worked on that. And actually for the 100-day project, we're actually like more than a third of the way done with it. So I believe today's like 34. Okay, so you wanted to make so Ellen said you wanted to make a blanket, but then you decided that you're gonna just turn it into a pillow instead. Okay, so I think that is where the boat is gonna go. So that's the line over here. Yeah, it's hard to find motivation to create when there's just like a constant stream of bad news, you know? And I think it's like so I don't know what the word is, not like stifling to creativity. I mean, that there is that about it too, but there's just something about like constantly hearing bad news that, you know, you and not even just like bad news, but like things that you feel like you don't have control over, you know, that you begin to feel powerless and hopeless, you know, and there's always ways that we can do things to make it, I think, better for us and better for other people. And it may not necessarily have a direct impact on those that are affected, by the bad things going on. But I'm definitely a believer that whatever energy, like as individuals, right, that we have control over and putting out into the world, it's still going to have a ripple effect that's going to go beyond even what we're aware of. And so what I mean by that is, like, as a teacher, right, I know that if I teach someone, whether it's, a child, an adult, or whatever, but if I teach someone about art, for example, right, and then they get, really excited, and, maybe they go on to, I don't know, like make amazing art, right, and then, let's say their work then goes into like a museum or something, or let's say somebody sees their artwork and gets really moved and decides that, they want to give them a lot of money for their artwork or something like that. And now that person's life changed simply because of the work that they created, right? So let's say they go on and they make artwork now that's hanging in a museum, for example, and someone is having a really bad day and they decide, I'm going to go to the museum and just kind of take a mental day off, if you will. And then they go and they see that person's art. And then that inspires them. Maybe they get an idea for, a problem that they were struggling with at their job. Maybe it's not even someone that's art related, right? Maybe it's someone that was, like what you're talking about. It could be like a nurse or someone that just was really struggling and feeling frustrated in their line of work. But maybe seeing that artwork did something to them that made them have a good day. So now let's say it's a nurse, and they go to a hospital and they're treating somebody, and their whole attitude can kind of change the way that the outcome of the patient is, right? Maybe they are really kind and patient with, someone that is going through a very difficult time. And, it just kind of has this rippling effect, right? So it's like, even though I may not have been directly involved with that patient that nurse helped, I feel like by putting out positivity in the world in whatever capacity and way that we do have control over, eventually that's going to be compounded, I think personally anyway, and make the world a better place in ways that we're not even aware of, but that will have a really profound impact and effect on other people. So I said my family back home is willing to help out, but it is quite far away from the Ukraine. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, there are so many people that are struggling, of course, like the Ukrainian people, for sure. But there's like so many different people that are refugees. There are so many different people that don't have a roof over their head, that don't know, what's going to happen to them or to their family. And you know what I mean? Like, there's all of these, like, there's always going to be negatives in the world. And I think that when we hear news about the things that maybe we feel like we don't have control over, again, it can really make us, feel paralyzed, right? Because it's like, well, I just keep listening to the news and all I hear is like more bad things and more bad things. But, there are people that are doing good things too, right? Like, I just saw that there was going to be another art auction off to raise money for UNICEF. And not that I'm excited that, we're gonna or that money is needed to be raised in order to help people out, but I'm excited in that there are people that are seeing opportunities to be helpers. And I think that, when you can make a situation better for someone, again, whether it's directly or indirectly, then that is both empowering for the person doing the helping, right? Because that's letting you take that negative energy that you're kind of like sitting with, feeling, frustrated or like you can't do something about it, and then channeling that into a way that you actually can do something about it, whether it's directly or indirectly, right? So you can donate money, of course. You can donate physical goods. You can donate your time, right? So maybe someone else is able to make a big impact and you're helping them out by watching their children, while they go and do their volunteer work or whatever. So there's always ways that we can make the realm of which we have control over better, and then in turn that just has that ripple effect, I think. And so it's definitely understandable, where that feeling of paralysis or lack of creativity or just, overwhelm comes from. And so I just kind of got to the point where I can't even watch the news because of the way that the things that are negative are happening, and the way that they're described. And I think that, for myself anyway, I know that I'm very sensitive and I absorb all of that very, very much so. And so like I have to ask my husband to kind of be almost like my interpreter or like a buffer, and just like let me know what's going on in the world so that I don't have to necessarily like see the pictures or read the words, because that stuff will just like stick with me. And then when that does happen, then I get into that state of paralysis. I get into that state of, okay, there's way too much going on and I can't do anything about it. This is overwhelming. I can barely, keep it together for myself. Like how am I going to keep it together for, those that need me or that rely on me? And it becomes very stifling. And so I think that if we can be aware again of what our triggers may be, or what may be the thing that makes us feel paralyzed, and to the best of our ability to avoid them, right? Like you can still be informed about what's going on in the world without having to sit and like watch the news, or without having to do things that like you begin to notice are really impacting your mental health. And so I feel like there's a balance in all of it. And, maybe if the news was very factual, like, I don't know, like X amount of tanks went into the city and then like this happened and that happened. But I think the sensationalization of trying to get people to just have such, I don't know. I mean, of course, that, like I said, I know that there are atrocities and there are horrible things that are happening, but it's just the way that the stories of what is happening is being told, and also the way that it's being told is not something where the message of, but you can do something about it. You know what I mean? So it's like there's all this crap going on in the world, and then that's it, and then they just leave you and they go to commercial. And then the commercials just want you to buy crap, right? Like that's the way that the news is set up. Instead of, look, there's a lot of crap going on in the world, but hey, if you want to make a difference, you can do XYZ and it will help these people and that people. And so I think that, if you try to just like, I don't know, think about how could you be the best informed while also, I don't know, not like protecting yourself, but like how can you be informed about what's going on in the world and still have enough reserves, right, that you can still put good out into the world? And I think that's the thing that maybe I find the most difficult about watching the news and getting, informed about what's going on in the world that way, is because I don't necessarily want it to be like a TV drama. You know what I mean? There's definitely a difference between real life and fantasy, and like if you want to watch things that have that kind of like dramatic build up or whatever, okay, fine. Like that should be reserved for, I don't know, like TV shows and stuff, right? But like the reality part, I don't want to hear about what's really going on in the world and then just be left feeling horrible that I can't do anything about it. Because at the end of the day, each one of us can have a profound impact on the world, right? I mean, just something as simple as even recycling, or something as simple as like wearing masks, right? Like each one of us can make choices, and some of that can impact others in a positive way, a negative way. We can all have feelings and thoughts on it, but ultimately, what we all decide to do collectively is going to impact one another. We're all intertwined, and we're all, we're all connected in this life, right? And we each make choices that not only impact ourselves but impact others. And so if we try to guard our mental health and treat it as though it's not just like a, I don't want to say like a talking point, but like your mental health is like what allows you to function, like it affects your physical health too. And I don't like the idea of knowing that if I'm going to sit and watch the news, that it's going to make it so that as an individual and as an artist, that I no longer feel capable of creating. And to me, that would be a very, very horrible thing to have happened, that there's something going on that is preventing me mentally from feeling I have enough energy to put more positivity in the world. You know what I mean? Because, like, again, if there are things that are negative and I can't do anything about it, then I can't do anything about it. But the things that I can do, something about, and the things that I can do to bring about, positivity or make things better, like, that's what I want to be listening to. That's what I want to be, focusing my mental energy on, right? Because at the end of the day, you can only control what you do, and you can only control, the realm of which you have influence over. So I guess that's just my my soapbox speech for the night on that. But it's definitely something that if you find your creativity is kind of stalling on you and you're not really able to make art or create, then I think it's really important to kind of take a step back and like look at and ask yourself, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling this way? And again, if you're saying, like, if it's the news or whatever, then what can you do to turn that into something that fuels you in a positive way, that you can bring about positive change for both yourself and for others. And I think that's how we can all not just like combat evil or anything like that, but how we can make the world a better place for both ourselves and for others in a very like concrete and real way, not like in a hypothetical way. Okay, so Ellen said, I told them, well, if people want to go to the US and need a place, we have a good life and we can share. Definitely. Yes, and a lot of people struggle every day. Maybe our neighbor struggles too. Exactly. I mean, even we may struggle, and just being able to, reach out to someone and be like, hey, like, I'm having a really difficult time. And, just even to hear someone else saying, oh, you know what, I'm having a really difficult time too. And then you realize, wait, I'm not alone in experiencing this difficulty. Like, there's others that are experiencing this too, this helplessness. And, once you begin to see that you're not alone, right? And that you're in this kind of community of other humans that are struggling because of everything that's going on, there's kind of a pause that might happen. And then you might be, well, okay, well, what can we do about it? Right? Like, I don't like feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way. I want to get back to, making art and doing things that bring me joy. And so what can I do, not only for myself in that selfish, kind of thinking, but what can I do for others, that if we all collectively can sort of raise each other up in that act, then, it'll be better for you, it'll be better for that neighbor. And then, you might have the resources and the mental, like energy or stamina to be able to take care of someone that's a refugee and have them come into your home and be there, because now you're seeing that there is something that in fact you actually can do. So Ellen said, yeah, I would say that my mental health is crap, but seeing what others go through, then I can keep myself going because people have it way worse. And yes, definitely craft is my therapy to keep going. Yeah, and I don't think that the like, just because like somebody has it bad, right, that doesn't mean that what you're experiencing is less than, or like, you shouldn't, like, you shouldn't feel bad because of course there's someone worse off than you. Like, of course there's gonna always be someone that has a different circumstance than you, but also in you projecting that, people might be looking at you and thinking like, oh wow, like this person is really struggling with their mental health, and so even though I'm physically okay, and like mentally I'm okay. That must be really hard for that person that's struggling, right? So we might go through things that other people might not find challenging, and vice versa, or everyone's got their own lot. But I don't know, I think we can all do things to both in helping ourselves, so in being selfish in a not like in that negative term, but like being selfish and thinking about like what can we do to take care of ourselves, then that gives us, I think, the fuel to be able to take care of other people, right? So just like when you're on an airplane and they say, the parents have to put the masks on themselves first before they put it on the child if the plane is about to crash. And I always thought, especially as a child, I'm like, okay, well, that's really messed up. Like, why are the grown-ups not taking care of me? Like, here I am, a little kid, and the plane is going to go down. Like, why would the instructions be to take care of the parents first? And then it's like, well, you can't really take care of somebody if you are not able to breathe, right? And so you have to take care of yourself first before you can be able to help others and to make situations better. And so I think being selfish maybe has a negative connotation, so maybe it's been turned into the term self-care or something like that. But I think being selfish doesn't necessarily mean that you can't also care about other people. I think it means, for me anyway, that being selfish is like you're taking the time to like analyze what your needs are and trying to meet them. And I think especially if you're someone that tends to lean towards being a caretaker or a caregiver, like I know for myself, my mother, she had multiple sclerosis. And so growing up, I was always in this role of a caretaker. And it was really difficult for me because there were times where I would feel like I was being selfish, like I don't want to do X, Y, and Z, but I have to because, my mother can't do it, right? Like I don't want to do the dishes. I want to just play video games or something like that. And I'm like really, really hypersensitive now to the idea of being selfish and trying to meet my needs before meeting other people's needs. And like I will always put myself out, in order to meet other people's needs first. And that's not necessarily healthy because then again, if you aren't selfish, right, then you're not really able to take care of those people that you really want to because you've just kind of worn yourself thin. So I think there's kind of like this balance where, yeah. So Ellen said you have to be selfish, self-care to take care of others. I totally get what you're saying about your mom. Yeah, and so that's the thing too. It's like we can feel bad that other people have challenges and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily think it's like well, my challenges are bigger than your challenges. It's like, no, as human beings we struggle. We all experience loss. We all, hopefully, will experience love of some kind and joy and sadness and grief and mourning. I mean, I think especially with like COVID, so many of us really mourned the loss of the life that we had before, of our before times life, if you will. And this boat is really just pissing me off. Sorry, I just had to put that out there. So the idea that, we all were like really experiencing this mourning of our lives and the way that they used to be, and some of us maybe were like super excited, like myself. I know I'm just like a really, really happy introvert getting to, being able to stay home and be home more, but I know all of my extrovert friends and family, they really were struggling. And so there was definitely like an emotional mourning that comes from not having not having the ability to see that we can actually mourn our previous lives. It doesn't just have to be people. Okay, so Ellen said life is a marathon and not a sprint. Yes, definitely. But it seems like every day it feels like another marathon and not just like one long marathon, right? It can be very overwhelming. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this boat alone because that's bothering me. But I think I'm going to try to move on to this area over here and just kind of fill this out. Hey baby, can you close the door please? Thank you, sweetheart. For some reason my older cat, so Coco, I know some of you might know Glenn, Willie, and Gurpus, but I have this older black cat that, like, for some reason she'll just start howling. I don't know what it is with old cats. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this down here and begin to work on the bridge area a bit. All right, so yeah, so if you have any questions about what it is that I'm doing or what these tools are or anything like that, feel free to let me know. So I'm just going to start filling in the sky a bit more. Because what I'm noticing is that this area that I've been working, it's getting like really, really dense. And then this area over here is starting to get, like it's starting to lift up. So I want to try to be more uniform in the amount of poking that I'm doing. So I just need to build this up a little bit more with more wool and felt it because it's getting a bit thin. So yeah, so I really like the idea of, you know, making art and then donating it, right? And to raise money, whether it's like an auction or, you know, something to that extent, just so that I'm creating and I'm doing something that brings me joy, but then I'm also able to take it and turn it around and use it something to make someone else's experience a little bit of a lighter load, you know? And I think there's a lot of different ways that fiber artists will do that, you know? So they'll crochet baby blankets and hats for premature babies. And I know that there's tons of different like patterns and things like that people in my Spinners Guild and the Knitters Guild, they would always have like fiber and yarn for donations. And it would always go to like these different charities. Hang on, this wool is... All my supplies are messing with me today. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just trying to build this up. Okay, so this area looks like it's got to be darker. Oh, okay, so Ellen said, did I already auction off the weaving? Yeah, so that's actually what I was working on. So here, let me grab it to show you. So this is what I was really struggling with earlier in the live, because I took it off of the loom and then I sewed it, and I don't know if you can see over here. I'm going to see if I can get it to show up, but there's like this like plastic thread that I was using, like the see-through thread. So I was able to like get this edge to be, you know, this edge over here to be more finished. And then I wanted to like fold it over and sew it. But for some reason, every time I tried to do that on my machine, it was just like bunching up and getting like all gnarled. Not the fabric itself, but the clear plastic threads. So at the beginning, I had my sewing machine out, because I was like cleaning up. I got into one of my ADHD hyper fixation modes of trying to work on my sewing, and then it was like 9:30 and I was like, oh wait, I was gonna go on Instagram tonight. And so yeah, I need to do that. But I have another one, and I just saw that there is going to be another auction, so I'm super excited because I don't think it's this piece here. Okay, it's this one. So on this one, I just want to be careful because I didn't finish sewing it. But on this one, so this first piece over here, let me see if I can zoom out a bit. Okay, so on this one over here, this was the Ukrainian flag that I did first, and I just, really, I don't want to say like I enjoyed making it, but it was very therapeutic, right? So again, it's talking about making art and then using it for good and as a way of therapy. So like over here, like this section, I tried to make it like the crowd of people when I heard, how all these people were like trying to evacuate. Sorry, I'm trying to move my felting needles out of the way so I can lay this flat. So I tried to have over here like the crowd of people, right, that were like trying to like run to the border and escape. And then over here, like this line is basically like a line of tanks that were coming in. So if I turn it on its side, you might be able to see, right? So I tried to make these like little bumps to make it look like the tanks were going across the fabric. And then, there was like little fires that I had with the wool that was coming up. So obviously like there's like some red threads and there's like some holes for where the infrastructure was damaged or lives were lost. And then like this part over here, I really wanted to have something that both represented the beauty that was still in the country, right? Obviously there's like still museums and art and there's all these people that are banding together, and I really liked the way that all of the sequins were kind of sitting next to one another. So I put this there kind of like the front, if you will, to not allow the tanks to get in. And then over here, I just started to make it really, threadbare, right? So that it's kind of just, it's still a version of itself, but it's kind of wearing away. And then I just put some red, white, and blue threads in there to just show the support for the Ukraine from the U.S. citizen. And so this one was the one that got auctioned off, the first one, but then I have another one that I was working on, and I just was thinking about the aftermath, right? So like what is it going to be like when everything is kind of all said and done? So let me flip it over. So for this side over here, I had like a lot of like basically damage and destruction, and the red representing all of the lives lost and the blood spilled unnecessarily, the abandoned tanks, so kind of mirroring the tanks in the other one, but there's like these abandoned tanks just left, right? So there's like these little bumps that are kind of sitting on the fabric. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, so there's these tanks. And then when I did the fabric, since I wanted this to be, like I said, the aftermath, so instead of having fire, I tried to have like these brown and gray plumes of smoke. And I really wanted it to have, I would say like it's reminiscent of the flag, right? So you can still see the yellow and the blue, but it's not as solid, right? There's lots of patches, there's lots of kind of, I don't know, just like threads that are kind of coming out and, just looking like it's a very different version of its old self, that there are little pieces trying to come back, but it's not quite the same as how it was before. So I think this might be one of the other pieces that I'll go and try to auction off a second time. And I do have more fabric here that I want to do some more artwork with that. So I'm kind of excited about that, being able to use artwork for, again, positivity, but not just, not just for the Ukraine. Like, I mean, there's so many refugees and so many people in the world that are hurting. And so I would like to be able to like have some artwork, to sell, to make money so I can buy the supplies and to put food on my table. But then I would also like to be able to sell some pieces so that I can give it to other people to make their lives better too. And I think that kind of relationship with the act of creating for therapy in order to overcome like those strong emotions or strong feelings that we may have listening to the news, and then being able to make it better, whatever those things are that make it difficult for us to watch the news. So that's going to be the plan moving forward with my artwork. So once I start to finish up all of my work in progress projects like this one over here, I'm going to start doing kind of like an every other piece. Like I want to have some pieces that either I keep for myself or, you know, that I make for the joy of making it, and then others that I want to do like commission pieces that I can sell for replenishing my supplies, and then other pieces that I donate. So I'm trying to figure out like what the best way to structure all of that will be, but I'm excited about that as a moving forward, you know, because I know just everything that's going on in the world. Like I said, it's not just the Ukraine. There's so many things that can make us feel so overwhelmed and so I don't know, just defeated, frozen, stuck, you know, all of those things that make it really hard for us to create. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate it. Yeah, because, you know, I realize that even though I enjoy working with wool, right, as like a medium, I don't really enjoy wearing it necessarily. And so I want to think about like what things I make. Like I made, I don't know where, I think I put it on the floor. My little conversion factory. I don't even know where it went, but I should have had it. Maybe I moved it away because I had my sewing machine out. But yeah, like I just really, I like making things that, if not for myself anyway, but for others that would make them happy. Like I think that's a really maybe important quality to me in my work, is that I want someone, when they're looking at the things that I create, to have an emotional reaction, you know, and it can be a positive one or a negative one. So it might be to feel a sense of, you know, mourning or sadness, or it could be to experience joy or nostalgia. But I always want the things that I create for people to have an emotional reaction of one kind or another. And actually, when I was teaching in high school, I had one student that we were doing a clay project, and what I said to them was, I want you to think of a topic that you can be for or against, right? And I want you to create a work of art that argues your perspective. And so what was interesting, this student, he did a gun, right? He made this clay gun, and then on the bullets he wrote mom, dad, you know, sister, brother, something like that. And so, you know, I was saying to him, like, what is your idea behind making this gun, right? And making this piece. And he's like, well, that when you're the person that uses a gun, you know, you might cause harm to others, but you also cause harm to your family, and you also cause, you know, harm to the people that you care about, because if you use a gun and you know, kill someone or hurt someone with your gun, then your family now may have to come see you in jail, or like your children may not be able to have a relationship with you, and like all of these things can happen, right? And I thought his explanation of his artwork was so moving and so powerful, right? And so even though we were in this public school setting, I felt like what he was trying to communicate with the imagery of making the clay gun was really, you know, something that was I don't know, I thought it was really powerful. So I went out for whatever reason, I don't know, I was like sick or something, and I come back, and this is like a modeling clay sculpture that he was making, right? So it wasn't something that was gonna like harden or whatever. And I come back and the gun isn't there. And so I'm like wondering like what happened. And I, you know, went to the substitute, and I was like, hey, you know, this student of mine was working on this piece, and, you know, I came back and we can't find it. Like, what happened? And so the substitute said, well, you know, there were a bunch of students in the class, and they saw the clay gun, and they got so excited, you know, that there was like a gun in the classroom, you know, like this clay gun, that they started to take it and pretend like to shoot each other with it. And so the substitute was like, so I didn't think that was appropriate, and therefore I destroyed it. You know, I basically crumpled it up so that they wouldn't, you know, be playing with the gun and pretending to shoot each other. And so I was kind of like dumbstruck because I thought, well, okay, like I can see not, wanting to allow other students to like mess with the clay gun, but obviously you're in a classroom and it's an art classroom and you basically just like destroyed someone's project. Like, did you not think to maybe set it aside, so that this child, like, his project that he's been working on for so long and so hard and was almost done with it, just like basically got destroyed. And so obviously the substitute felt, bad about it, but like there wasn't anything in the sense that he could do to bring it back. So when I told the student was kind of upset, of course, understandably. But I said to him, I want you to know something. I want you to know that I'm really, really proud of you. And he was kind of like looking at me puzzled, and I was like, like what's going on? And I was like, the reason that I'm proud of you is because you created something that on one hand, it made people so excited to see it that it made them like happy and they wanted to interact with it. They wanted to touch it. They wanted to, experience your artwork. Right. And then on the other hand, you created something that based on people experiencing joy from interacting with your artwork made them experience like anger or frustration or whatever to the point that they actually went and they destroyed your artwork. And so I said to him, so what you were able to do just simply by creating this clay gun was elicit these emotions in people that had such a range like of, both positive and negative emotion. And I said, I'm really proud of you because you made art. And even though the art does not exist, I want you to know that like in my book, okay, you're getting an automatic A simply because you did the thing. You know what I mean? You made the art and then people had a reaction to it. And so he was one of those people that was like super down to earth. He was, totally cool about it. He was, just maybe worried about his grade and not passing or whatever. And I was like, no. Like you did something really amazing and, don't worry about your grade basically. Right. And so, he was cool after that. I loved him. He was an awesome kid. And, I would say no more than maybe 5 years after that, I heard on the news that he was shot outside of a convenience store and he was basically killed, and they never found out who killed him. And it broke my heart, and like I'm gonna try not to cry now too, but like it broke my heart because he was such an amazing person and I was so proud of him because I never had a student obviously that did that, right? That made artwork that would have people have this emotional reaction, at least not that I knew of. And so I was so proud of him for doing it and how he handled it and like just like everything about it. And then to know that was this, really horrible kind of like foreshadowing of his life was just a really a horrible thing. And but ultimately though, like I said, I was really proud of him because he was able to make people experience these emotions. Now, whether that was his intention or not, or, whatever was motivating him to make that, I don't know if he had any experience with relatives in his life that perhaps, used guns, and maybe he was struggling with the relationship that he had with those people because they weren't around in his life, or whatever the situation may be. But that it came full circle like that was probably one of the most powerful examples of an artist making art and just kind of living their art. So Ellen said, the heart in my picture I will give thee away. You might not like the project or it might not be your taste, but flowers and the bright colors will make people smile, and that is enough for me. Yeah. See, so, people can make things that don't necessarily like have to relate to what's going on in the news, but they can just make things that make them feel better, and then in turn that can just have a positive effect on others. So thank you for everybody that came out to join me tonight. I appreciate it. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you as well for hanging out with me whenever you're able to. I know that I'm not able to hit all of my time zones by going on at this hour. Maybe next week I'll try to go on at a different time. So if you're watching this on the replay, let me know what time zone or what time would work for you in Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, see, the sky was getting a bit puffy, so I need to flatten it down. So I'm going to go with my big tool and just start poking it to make it felt a little bit faster, get a little bit more compacted. Because you can even see like how on the top my edge is getting distorted, you know, because of all of the needle felting here. It almost has like a weird fisheye swirly lens. So I just kind of want to build this up. And then I'll work on these buildings probably next time. Either that or maybe I'll work on the painting. We'll see. We'll see where I'm at. That's what's nice about the 100-day project. You can choose what it is you want to work on. You can set the parameters for the project. All right. So I hope all of you have a lovely evening wherever you're at. And if you're watching in the morning because you're in Australia, or if you're West Coast and you're just kind of settling down for the night, whatever the case may be, I hope you all have a lovely weekend. And if there's any way that I can bring a little positivity into your life, or if you're feeling a little bit stuck in your creativity, if you haven't really had the energy or the motivation to create, I hope that in coming tonight that maybe you can think of ways to help you get unstuck. And I think one of the things that really helps me is to just go and touch the things that you like to create with, right? Like, so whatever tools it is that you like to make artwork with, whether, you know, if you like to cook or if you like to draw or paint, whatever it is, just go and touch your supplies. You know, just give yourself permission to just touch them. You don't have to make anything, right? You don't have to make art. There doesn't have to be a project or a plan in place, but just to go and touch the things that make you happy will do something to the hardwiring in your brain, if you will, that will bring you back to that place of creativity. But by abandoning and leaving those things kind of in drawers or set aside and not touching them, they become less and less familiar to us. So if you haven't really, found your creativity in a while, if you haven't been able to create in a while, I just highly recommend going and just touching your supplies and see how that maybe changes your headspace a bit. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so someone said I subscribed to a fiber club for 6 months to try to inspire. I love my felt. You love my felted art. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So like fiber clubs are really good, so that you can get like a sense of all the different goodies and stuff that are out there. But then I started to like collect way too much stuff. So this is my accrual of years of just like collecting and gathering and all of that good stuff. So now I'm trying to use it all up or to gift it. So I hope you enjoy your fiber subscription, and if you make anything with felting, please share with me. I'd love to see your creations and celebrate them, especially if it helps to boost your creativity and inspire you. Okay, I'm just gonna get this little last bit, and then I'll go see why my son is screaming. Oh boy. See, I don't have to turn on the news. I have my own drama right here in my own backyard. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit more muted over here. Hang on. See, that's the problem. I'll just get like so into what I'm doing that I'll have a hard time stopping. I'll be like, wait. It's kind of like with knitting when people say, wait, just one more row. Wait, just one more color. Okay, this one is not cooperating. I'm having one of those days where my artwork just doesn't want to do what I want it to do, and that's a very good indication for me that my brain is not in a place or space where I'm able to either focus, so that's why I'm getting frustrated, you know, like being mindful and paying attention to kind of like how your mood is, that can often influence if you're having a good experience or not. That's okay. Greggy, did Harvey need something? Hey, sweetheart, I'm still on, but no, it's okay. You can come in. Did you have a good time? No? Okay, well, I'm still on the camera, so if you want to just give me a second, I'll get off in a minute, okay? Okay, just give me a second. I'm just going to finish this. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you have a good night. I have to take off my artist hat and put my mom hat back on, although, as you know, mom hats don't come off even if the artist hats come on. So I hope you all have a great night, and I will try to come back next Friday around 9:30. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I do appreciate it. Take care.